I am Dr. Vinita Bhadoria, Associate Professor of English in Government College, Behror. Welcome in this video. In this video, I am going to explain the poem The Solitary Reaper written by William Wordsworth. The time period of William Wordsworth was 1770 to 1850. He was known as a nature poet and he was a romantic writer. He is the greatest poet of nature in the English literature. His most famous poems are Excursion, The Prelude, Ode on the Intimation of Immortality, and Sonnets. The Solitary Reaper is one of his most famous short poems. The Solitary Reaper was written in 1805 and published in 1807. It is remarkable for the far-reaching quality of poetic imagination. This poem is one of his most famous short poems. The Solitary Reaper is a lyrical poetry published by the nature poet William Wordsworth. But the poem was originally written on November 5, 1805. It is a widely read poem published in the collection Poems in 2 volumes. This poem is unique for it is not based on the poet's experience but of his friend and author, Thomas Wilkinson. Wordsworth has made a note of it in his tours to the British mountains. In 1803, Wordsworth had a tour of Highland. Being a lover of nature, he was fascinated by the scenery and innocent people of area. Once he saw a girl in the field. She was alone. She was reaping and singing simultaneously. He was charmed by the melody of her song. This poem is the result of his experience during his journey. The poem was composed in 1805 and was published in 1807, as I tell you before. The poem is remarkable for the far-reaching quality of poetic imagination that it reveals. Wordsworth toured in the Highlands of Scotland with his sister Dorothy in August 1803. As Dorothy Wordsworth notes in her diary, such solitary women reaping in remote fields were often encountered by them. Wordsworth himself writes about this poem. This poem was suggested by a beautiful sentence in the Tours of Scotland, written by a friend named Thomas Wilkinson. The last lines being taken verbatim, the sentence referred to by the poet reads as follows: We passed a female who was reaping alone. She sang as she bended over the sickle, the sweetest human voice I ever heard. Her strains were tenderly melancholy and felt delicious long after they were heard no more. The visual and auditory images, the comparisons drawn from nature, the rhythmic quality, and the fluent language of the verse make the poem a real beauty. The poem, made up of 4-octave, 8-lined stanza, follows a rhyme scheme of AB AB C C D D, with a variation in the first and fourth stanzas, written in iambic tetrameter. Lines run throughout the poem. An iamb is an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable, and tetrameter means 4 feet in a line. The theme of the poem is the power of imagination and its connection with emotion and intuition. The poem is the result of his experience during his journey to Highlands with his sister Dorothy. Now I am going to explain the poem. The first stanza of the poem: Behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, reaping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. Vale is valley. In the first stanza of The Solitary Reaper, the poet describes how the reaper is the girl, was singing all alone. During one of his journey in the countryside of Scotland, he saw a Highland girl working in the field all alone, isolated. She had no one to help her out in the field, so she was singing to herself. She was singing without knowing that someone was listening to her song. The poet doesn't want to disturb her solitude, so requests the passers by go without disturbing her. She was immersed in her work of cutting and binding while singing a melancholy song for the poet. He is so struck by the sad beauty of her song that the whole valley seems to overflow with its sound profoundly. In other words, we can say the poet looks at the Highland girl who is standing all alone in the field. Behold her singing in the field, you solitary Highland lass. Solitary is isolated, alone, reaping and singing. She is cutting the corn and singing by herself. She is singing without caring who is listening her songs. Stop here or gently pass. The poet asks the passers by either to stop and listen to her music or quietly pass without disturbing her in her song. Alone she cuts and binds the grain. The girl is all alone in the field. She is cutting the grains and binding them and sings a melancholy strain. Strain is song, melancholy is musical. So she is singing a song in her sweet voice. Oh, listen for the wail profound. The poet makes an earnest request to listen to her sweet song, is overflowing with the sound, because the whole valley seems to be flooded with her sweet enchanting music. No nightingale did ever chant more welcome notes to weary bands of travellers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. A voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. In this stanza, the poet compares the young woman's song with nightingale and cuckoo, the most celebrated birds by the writers and poets for the sweetness of the voice. But there he complains that neither nightingale nor the cuckoo sang a song that is as sweet as hers. He says that no nightingale has sung the song so soothing like that for the weary travellers, for the song of the girl has stopped him from going about his business. He is utterly enchanted that he says that her voice is so thrilling and penetrable like that of the cuckoo bird which sings to break the silence in the Hebrides islands. He symbolically puts forth that her voice is so melodious and more than that of the two words known for their voice. It is a poem of nature and of man. The Highland girl is singing a sad song. She is singing more sweetly than the music of nightingale. No nightingale did ever chant. Did ever chant? Never give this type. Never spread this type of magic. In the Arabian deserts, there are oases where tired travelers rest and the nightingale sings. In such musical surroundings, the music of the nightingale is sweet, but the music of the solitary reaper is sweeter. A cuckoo's song singing in the silent seas near the Hebrides Islands are coast of Scotland, is not so sweet as this girl's music. The music of the nightingale and the cuckoo appears inferior to the girl's singing. Both the girls are known for the sweetness of their voice. In these lines, poet possess verbal felicity and high suggestiveness. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old unhappy far off things and bought battles long ago. Or is it some more humble lay, familiar matters of today, some natural sorrow, loss, or pain that has been and may be again? Will no one tell me what she sings? Poetess, anyone is there who tells me what she sings? Because the poet is not understanding the language in which the girl is singing. Girl is singing in a local language. Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow. The poet who cannot understand her words wishes to know what she is singing about. Though the poet does not understand the meaning of the girl's song, he is fascinated by its music. The girl went on singing as if her song would never end. Whatever the subject matter of her song, she kept on singing as if her song would never finish. She was singing while doing her work. She was singing while she was bending and reaping the corn with her sickle. The poet stood silent, listening to her music. Then he climbed up the hill and in this stanza, the poet depicts his plight over not understanding the theme or language of the poem because the girl is singing in the local language. The poet couldn't understand the local Scottish dialect in which the reaper was singing, so tries to imagine what the song might be about, given that it is a plaintive number and a melancholy strain. He speculates that a song might be about some past sorrow, pain, loss of old unhappy things, or battles fought long ago, or perhaps he says it is a humbler, simpler song about some present sorrow, pain, or loss, or a matter of today. He further wonders that is about something that has happened in the past or something that has reoccurred now. Fourth and the final stanza. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang. Maiden is the girl, lady, as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work and over the sickle bending. Whatever is the theme of the poem, which is singing by the girl, it has no end. Continuously she is singing song. I saw her singing at her work. She is doing work, reaping, cutting and binding the sickles and singing continuously. I listened motionless and still. He is quite unmoved and he is listening the girl's song, and I mounted up the hill. The music in my heart I bore long after it was heard no more. In this stanza, poet decide not to prove further into the theme. He comes to the conclusion that whatever may be the theme of her poem, it is not going to an end. Not only her song, but also her suffering sounds like a never-ending one. He stays there motionless and listened to her song quite some time. Even when he left and mounted up the hill, he could still hear her voice coming amongst the produce. She was cutting and binding. Though the poet left that place, the song remained in his heart long after he heard that song. Now, this is the explanation of the poem. Symbolism and metaphors in the poem. The poet makes a symbolic comparison of the young women's song with the nightingale and cuckoo, but for the melodious nature of her song. But it turns out to be hyperbole, for he exaggerates that her song is better than the bird's song, cuckoo and nightingale. The poet, very much captivated by her song, that the valley is overflowing with the sound. Again, he says that the song looked like a never ending as her sorrows. The poem starts with an apostrophe, behold, where the poet addresses the unknown passerby. He uses it again in seventh line, oh listen, telling them how the valley is filled with the sound of her. The poet uses a straightforward language and meter as well as natural theme and imagery. Once again, poet reflected his belief in the importance of the natural world. The poem highlights his definition of poetry to be a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings from the poet and the reader's part. That is all in this video. Thank you very much.